we call it frigio, because it's cold like that. Oh, this is the one? Yeah. Remind me. Cold upper Mississippi, also known as Minnesota, on the edge of the Arctic Circle planetary axis shift. In this time of great floods, oh yeah, the water is rising and the sky is falling, raining, snowing, blowing down everything under the great earth ocean gravity. And so few trees to slow the rising waves. Frigid wave action fed by the hole in the ozone. By air-conditioned mind-punching rocket power holes through the atmosphere, really believe that they can live in outer space without the Earth? Or whatever science fiction you dream about. You hear what I'm saying? Now dig what I mean. As the polar caps, north and south, begin to melt, break up and move, oh yeah, the water is rising. But did you know that frigid air masses high in the atmosphere, stratosphere, ionosphere, the Van Allen belt, you understand, frozen since the last ice age, have already been unleashed upon us. So you better get a grip, better get a grip, better get a grip, better get a grip on your inner atmosphere, because frigio is the current wave and we have nothing to fear, you dig? So wig or wig not, just in case y'all forgot about poverty in the Arctic Circle, because it's cold like that. it was Frigio, then I went to a little stormy weather, and of course, Purple Haze. All right, thank you.
Hello. Give it up for Mixashawn. Woo! Killing it on the saxophone. I shade to the indigenous people of this great land. I hope to one day make sure that the people get the land back if, you know, I digress. So our next presenter is Rhonda Wishart? Wishart, am I saying your last name? Wishart? Okay, thank you. She is from the NAACP of Windham branch, Executive Committee, Killingly. Give it up for Rhonda.
Good afternoon. My full name is Rhonda Watson Wishart. I say this, I add the Watson because it's very, very important, especially if you're from the Willimantic area. The Windham branch, my family, my aunts helped start the first NAACP branch back in the 60s in Willimantic in that area. And they've always, and the Watsons, especially the Watson women, have always been very vocal and very motivated for justice and for peace for everybody. I am a daughter, a sister, a mother, a wife, an activist, and a yoga teacher. And all of these things have made me the person who I am. I was born in Chicopee, Massachusetts in 1967. I have lived between Springfield, Hartford, and Killingly my entire life. Just doing a little bit of a triangle. The whole environmental justice part for me is very personal because as a child, my grandmother who lived in Killingly always was into the land and living off the land and teaching us how to live off the land. And my mother would always send us away in the summer to be with her. And at first, you know, as all kids, you don't want to be away from your friends, but as I've grown and I've been able to think about it, they would always kill for bugs in the summertime in our apartment, in our projects. They would always come into all the apartments and they'd fumigate and they would spread all these poisons and all these toxins. And my mother knew then that it wasn't good for us. And so she would just send us away to some place which was better, which was Killingly. And now Killingly, a place that is just known for its clean air and its beauty and it's your ability just to go and just to breathe is being threatened for greed, for a plant that we don't need, something that is just not necessary. So the NAACP, me, myself, and all of us in the nation who believe, as we all believe here, that we all deserve the right to breathe. We all deserve clean air to breathe in, to breathe out. We shouldn't have our children, each generation, being worse and worse with asthma and all these other ailments because of the quality of our air. So I hope, so the goal of the NAACP and our allies is to bring awareness, to bring conversations, and to bring awareness. One of my roles in the NAACP is I'm the chairperson for our conversations on race. About 5 to 6 times a year, we have these different conversations where we've discussed the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre, and we were showed how truly grace lives within those of us of color. Because to be able to show grace after having your house burnt down and feel more sad for the person who broke your house down than for the fact that you lost your house, because that person has to live with that hate in their heart. So we have these conversations, we make it a safe place for people of all races, all colors to come and to be a part of those conversations. I want to thank everybody for coming here today and just being a part of this work to be able for us to be able to breathe, for us to be able to go out and play, and for our children and our children's children to have open green spaces like this so they can run around and just know what it feels like to have the grass between their toes. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. My sister-in-law is named Rhonda, so that's a good name to have. Thank you for your message, love. So our next speaker will be Alycia. She is the owner of Green Eco Warriors, Efficiency, Energy, Justice. Give it up for Alycia, my new sister. Woo! I've adopted you.
Hello. Yo soy Leticia Colón de Mejías, and I'm upset. I'm mad that there's a lot of people up the hill mad about masks and vaccines, when at the end of the day, that's a passing thing and climate change is going to kill us all. What is going on? Why are there not more people here fighting this fight? Why do we not have this place filled with humans who are concerned about their children and the future of the planet we live on? I have no interest in going to Mars, and we cannot have beneficial electrification if the electricity is run on fossil fuel. I am tired of taking small steps. Environmental racism has been killing my people since the beginning of people. We come up here and we talk calmly and we talk quietly about the changes we want to see. But how can people of color take a stand or make informed decisions when they have no access to information? The time to educate people is now. It is not that my people don't care, it is that they are unaware. And we need to wake everybody up and make a real call to action. We need climate education in our public schools. Why are we paying all this money for education if it isn't education? I keep seeing the same people calling for the same things. We need to reach into the communities that we have left behind. We need money and resources to fight this fight. And we need to get a lot louder. Over 400,000 people in our state cannot afford their energy bills. But we're giving millions of dollars every year to fight carbon emissions. Where does the money go? Where is the money going? It is not helping my people. Yesterday, we had 10 people from all over the state of Connecticut graduate and gain access to energy efficiency careers. No news, no governor, no support, no coverage. Why? Why? It is time that we take different steps. Time to take real action to end our dependency on fossil fuel in all places. So what then? After this, I'm over there with the frog. I want people who want to take real action, because I'm tired. For the last 10 years, I've come to every rally, every event, and I've stood here and asked for people to get behind my effort to educate my community, people of color, and the children who don't even have science. Do you know in Connecticut, in communities with over 50% people of color, they don't even offer contextualized science in grade school? That is disgusting. It is unacceptable. It is intolerable, and it is enough. If you took the time to come here today, thank you. But take it one step further. Go back home and ask yourself why we don't have science in the hood, why there's no climate change education, and why there aren't more people of color leading in our state. Yes. Because we're not stupid, and there's plenty of us. Yes. We want a seat at the table. We want to be there when when they're making the plan and doling out the money and making the choices. Because if not, you're defining our problems and our solutions, and that is not right, it is not fair, it is not equity. I want equity now. People at Deep want to label me as a crazy, passionate Latina. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Because I'm sick of my people dying while everybody else walks around like nothing has happened, cover their eyes, their ears, and their mouth, and don't say crap about it. We all breathe air. Every one of you, your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors, you all breathe air. All air is connected. All things are connected. And we must take a stand together. Because the next time I come out here, I'm expecting to not be able to walk right to the stage. We must take a different approach. We need public service announcements on the radio, on the TV. If you own a nonprofit, write a public service announcement. Get it on the radio. Let's stop talking to ourselves and stop talking to the people who have not had the supports that they needed. Ask them what they need to be at the table and then give them that support. Don't keep the money to yourself or the information to yourself. Share it around. Sharing is caring, my friends. Thank you.
With all due disrespect, we mean that. Put science back in all schools, yes. It's funny how they cut science, they cut art in the hood, and they wonder why, but I digress. With all due love and disrespect, I agree. So the next person up here is Sara Bronin, who is part of Desegregate Connecticut in zoning, and she is the mayor's wife. Sara Bronin, is she here? Is she with us? Is Sara, where? Oh, she's coming, she's coming, she's coming. Dun, 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 dun. No, take your time. We don't want you out of breath. So, do, 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 do. Thank you all for your patience.
About that. I just had to go tend to a child, but I was here a little earlier and I was so excited to see all the groups tabling and joining together today on this beautiful day to fight environmental racism. So I'm Sara Bronin. I'm here from Desegregate Connecticut. Who here has heard of that group? A couple of you? Okay, great. We are a coalition of nonprofits and neighbors that has gotten together to talk about something that seems super esoteric, super maybe strange to talk about, but we are here to talk about zoning. Zoning is the hidden power that dictates how we live and where we live. And as a result, it actually dictates how much of the environment we destroy to accommodate our housing rules. So take, for example, Connecticut. We're all here. We all care about this state. We've mapped, and actually we have them here with a few people, Nick Abbott, our deputy director, Emily, who was one of the leads of our data project, and Robbie, who was our longtime outreach coordinator. Lots of you have probably interacted with him. Emily and others on our team mapped out parcel by parcel across the state zoning. And guess what we found? We found that 80% of residential land in the state requires a 1 acre minimum lot size, Okay, so let's translate that into what we're talking about today. What that means is that it's much harder to live in Connecticut without tearing down a bunch of trees, without building into our farmlands and forests. It means that it's more expensive to live in Connecticut. So you can see that housing justice and environmental justice are intertwined just in that one little statistic about zoning. We have a ton of information on our website, desegregate.ct.org, and we encourage you to learn more. Sharing is caring. One of the speakers just said we have a ton of information for you to hope that you guys get engaged in the land use fight as well as the environmental fight, because they are really, really linked, and we're very pleased to be here today. One last thing that I'll mention, we do have a free mailing list. We have on that mailing list in your town, all across the state, every week, really important zoning decisions are being made. We are in favor of housing. We are in favor of housing near train stations and fast track stations. We are in favor of building more housing there for people who need it and not out sprawling into our farmland and forests. But you can actually get engaged in zoning today in your town by showing up at your planning and zoning meetings, at your zoning board of appeals meetings, and raising your hand to say, I am an environmentalist and I support housing in smart places, in places where we have a transit nexus, in places where we're not going to start tearing down trees just like our laws now require us to do. So we're in it for the long haul. We know you are too, and we hope that you see these zoning and land use issues as actually being really central to achieving everything that we want to achieve here as a community to protect what we love about our natural environment and our state. So I'm going to leave it there, desegregate.ct.org, and we support all the organizations here in their efforts as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sara Bronin. Thank you. So the next presenter is me, Lady Abstract. Like I said before in my introduction, I am the lead campaign organizer for the Sierra Club Connecticut chapter. So I'm staff, and I am leading the Ready for 100 campaign to make Hartford a clean, green city that will help everybody alike. Yeah, no discrimination there. So I will be sharing my poem called Green Light, the Lyrical. So. Last night I had a dream that Michael Jackson was in the ring, fighting the devil with a grin. Too late, he yelled, as they went to hell bound by the love of God. How odd. This morning I had a dream about the ring that beamed on my finger, and I pulled the trigger. My mama say, God don't like ugly unless he loves ya. As I dance and sing with love on my chest, I be blessed. I gave the green light to my brother, and I told him to make it green like no other. Last night I had a dream about Michael Jackson giving me a warning, telling me not to trust the devil in the shadows, for he will play you like a fool. This morning my grandmother say, child, that's what the old folks say. Don't go dancing with no devil you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. I feel her from afar. She left a scar under my eye. Wildlife from Chicago to this land, yo. We be marching on sacred land, yo. You must hold my hand as I dance with the ancestors and sing Jackson 5 fresher than the breath of the ocean, cause it be poison from the waste we make. Give me the green light, and we all gon' fight so we can get it right until the break of dawn. Until the break of dawn. Last night my brother found God in his voice. She told him to make a choice. Choose heaven and warn below. Choose life and let the trees grow. My brother ran to me with the green light, his destiny. He say, sis, you the green witch? The one who knows how to switch the light on and let the world be born? Sis, You are right in this place, sis. You good for the chase, racing through time so that I become 9 minutes we wait, then it's too late, 9 minutes we wait, then it's too late, 9 minutes we wait. Thank you. That was exclusive. Y'all heard that first. Yay. So, our next presenter is Alex Rodriguez. I'm sorry if I'm saying your last name. Rodriguez. Thank you. Save the Sound, Strengthening Environmental Justice, Law and Transportation Collective. So, give it up for Alex.
Oh, it's all good, you know. I'm here, you're here, we're all here fighting the good fight for climate action and ending environmental racism in our state. Am I right? Are we gonna fight for zero carbon electricity ASAP? Am I right? Are we gonna fight for clean transportation for our people? Am I right? Are we gonna fight for climate change education in our schools, as my mentor mentioned earlier? You know, this movement is at a crossroads. This past month, we had two, gravely crazy news that hit us. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report really stressed that we have to double down on reducing carbon emissions from across all sectors of our society as soon as possible. And then the DEEP comes out this past week and informs us all that we are not on target to meet the Global Warming Solutions Act. Absolutely bonkers. And why is that? Because this state has an unhealthy relationship with the fossil fuel industry. It's unhealthy for us, but it's great for them. And we're here to put a stop to that today. We're here to put a stop to that for the long run. Am I right? We want climate action. We demand climate action. We demand expanded energy efficiency programs. Did you know that the Energy Efficiency Board is going to continue to fund fossil fuel subsidies? Can you believe that? Boo! We need people like you all in front of their faces at the Energy Efficiency Board every month telling them we want the expanded energy efficiency. We are struggling to pay our energy bills. We are struggling to survive. How can we put bread on the table and afford our energy at the same time? Times are tough. We had this worldwide pandemic wipe us out. Times are really tough. We need climate action at the regulatory level. We need to make sure that the Energy Efficiency Board stops this unhealthy relationship with the fossil fuel industry. We got to sever these ties. But we can only do that if you are all in front of them testifying, letting them know that you want an end to that relationship. We should be expanding energy efficiency programs and expanding renewable energy programs. But at the rate we're going, that is not going well so far. We are supposed to reduce carbon emissions 45% by 2030, below 2001 levels by 2030, and also reduce greenhouse gas emissions 80% by 2050, as according to the Global Warming Solutions Act. In addition to that, we're supposed to be we are supposed to be expanding the renewable energy sector 40% by 2030, at least 20% by 2030. And we are not on target to meet that because the way that the rules have been drawn over at the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority makes it so difficult for clean energy programs to be expanded upon. We need a change. Who wants renewable energy here? Who wants solar? Who wants wind? Those things are on the way, but they need you. We need you to testify at the Energy Efficiency Board and at the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority. They need to see your faces. They need to know that they need to expand on these programs so that people can afford them and thereby live a more dignified lifestyle, a retransfer of power that the fossil fuel industry so greatly enjoys over to the hard-working people of Connecticut. Am I right? You know, originally I was going to talk about the need to strengthen Connecticut's environmental justice law, and I am still very adamant about that. I still believe that there should be policies in place to give the DEEP more regulatory authority over the kinds of projects that get accepted in environmental justice communities, state-identified environmental justice communities. These are communities with at least 30% of the population living 200% below the federal poverty line, and communities like Hartford, communities like Windham and Willimantic, communities like New Britain, New Haven are overburdened by the amount of hazardous permits in our towns and cities. It is disgraceful. It shows us that the DEEP and the companies that they do business with, the DEP and the companies that they're doing business with, are prioritizing their business over our public health. And that is BS. And we got to do away with that too. And that is why we will, that is why we at Save the Sound and CCAG and Sierra Club will be revisiting the environmental justice law, strengthening that next year in the legislative session, because we've had enough with polluters over our public health. We've had enough of that, and so I think I want to end it here and just let you all know that even though it's going to get harder before it gets easier, we need to lean on one another. We need to share the wealth. We need to make sure that we are sharing space with Black, Indigenous, and people of color who are being ignored by the mainstream media. We need to do all we can to highlight their voices and their struggles and join in conjunction with them on the major issues impacting their everyday lives. Energy efficiency and transportation and waste is a way to meet them halfway. But let's go the extra mile. Let's work with Black, Indigenous, and people of color to highlight their stories via op-eds in the media, LTEs in response to the crazy propaganda that some of those folks up the hill are spewing. They are bought by fossil fuel lobby. They are bought by the crazy lobbyists that are trying to prioritize profit over our health. We outnumber them, but we need to be together in this. We need to lean on one another. Bring your stories to the media. Bring your stories front and center. Op-eds, LTEs. Let's work together on getting them in the media. And I'm going to end it here.
Thank you, Alex. Give it up for Alex again. Yes. Okay. So our next presenter is Angel Serrano. Am I saying your last name right, love? Okay, because I want to get it right. Because my name is Alycia and people call me everything else but that, so I want to get it right. He represents for the Connecticut Citizen Action Group, Stop the Money Pipeline Climate Awareness Campaign. Give it up for Angel. Angel.
Hey folks, how you doing folks? Hello Earth citizens! Yeah! Because we're all citizens of this great Earth, not just Connecticut residents, but Earth citizens. Today I'm here to call Governor Lamont to action. You know what we need? We need him to boldly lead on climate change. We need Connecticut to be a leader when it comes to solving the climate crisis. Climate change disproportionately affects low-income people, Black and brown and Indigenous people, and low-income people. The health problems from polluted air alone should be enough for the governor to do something, but our residents are still suffering from asthma and other respiratory illnesses. The fact that we got an F rating in air quality should be motivation to make the air cleaner for our vulnerable communities. Highways, power plants, landfills are all things that are built in and around urban areas. Climate change and environmental racism is very real in our state, and we need to Ned Lamont to fix it. Everybody, when I say climate, you say fix it. Climate, fix it. Climate. Fix it. When I said Ned, you say fix it. Ned. Fix it. Ned. Fix it. Ned. Fix it. Yes. One way we must reduce our carbon emissions and pollutant in the air is by reducing our use of fossil fuels like methane gas. This fuel is touted to be a bridge fuel, but it's really a bridge to accelerate the greenhouse gas effect on our planet. We cannot use this fuel and expect the atmosphere to get better. Methane is a greenhouse gas that traps heat in our planet even more than carbon dioxide. If we are going to be a leader, Governor Lamont needs to invest in solar and wind for our state. Yeah. Such technologies have a much smaller carbon footprint and no emissions, a much better alternative for our state and our world. We want clean, renewable energy for all. You hear that, Lamont? Clean energy now! Clean energy now! Clean energy now! Clean energy now! At Connecticut Citizen Action Group, we have been hard at work at getting the message to Governor Lamont in various ways with our climate awareness campaign. We have been collecting digital and physical postcards from our residents to Lamont, asking him to use his executive powers to help us in this climate problem that affects so many. We plan to have thousands on his desk by fall. We also organize actions involving a blimp, a 30-foot banner that read, "Connecticut must lead on climate" at the Norwalk Oyster Festival. We also flew a banner with the same message on the Connecticut shoreline. And a billboard truck went around Connecticut and the governor's mansion, all with the same message. All this to call the governor to lead on climate. That is hashtag lead on climate. In fact, if all you want to call out the governor on Twitter, all you have to do is tag him at GOV Ned Lamont and hashtag lead on climate and give him your own message and your own peace of mind of why he should lead on climate. We as citizens have the right to demand a future not only for ourselves, but for our younger generations. What example of leadership will we leave behind? How will we lead by example? There is no time to waste. We must lead now. Lead on climate now. Lead on climate now. Lead on climate now. Lead on climate now. Yeah. So I hope that Governor Lamont heard that message. At CCAG, Not only are we working on El Lamont, but we're also working on insurance companies here in Connecticut. You know that Connecticut is the insurance capital of the world. Well, we have the ability to target Travelers in the Hartford, W.R. Berkeley, those companies like that, to divest from fossil fuels, to stop underwriting fossil fuel projects. And that's one way we combat climate change, by corporations to stop investing in fossil fuels, to stop, supporting these projects that go on. Another way that CCAG and Sierra Club is working to help in the climate change issues is with legislation here in the state. Last year with Connecticut Renews, one of the campaigns that we had, we passed a good, monumental housing bill, a housing retrofit bill. And it was really major. It was like we were leading at that point in housing because no other state had done something similar except for maybe Massachusetts. So just like we did in housing, we're asking to do the same for food justice. We're asking the same for environmental justice. All of these things we're working at CCAG, and we're hoping to pass some bills, monumental bills next year. Some of the speakers that you heard today already helped us in the housing bill, and we're hoping to recruit more people for the food justice and environmental justice bill. So not only our organization, but other organizations here in the area in Connecticut are doing great work. We want to congratulate everybody on their work, but there's so much more work to do. We cannot rest. We have to keep fighting, all for the climate and for our very lives. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Angel. Give it up for Angel. So, our next performer is Nekita Waller. She is the state troubadour, and she will be giving us beautiful music. Give it up for Nekita.
One, two, one, two. Oh, look at all this familiar family people. How y'all doing today? It's an honor to be here with you and Ms. Martha Klein as we continue to honor this end environmental racism. I'm all on board for that. Come on, let's give a round of applause for what we're here for. We stand for something. So I have this song that I actually wrote, and I'm actually excited to perform it for you all because I did it one time in my life on TV, and I never actually performed it. So I hope you actually like it. It's actually about transportation and climate. It's a transportation and climate song, so I hope you all enjoy it. Give it up for the DJ back here, the sound man, keeping everything tight. How you we got the worst healthcare in the north end of Hartford. Oh, they treat us so differently. Oh, we don't want no war no more. 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 You can help me sing and say it, y'all. We don't want no war no more. We don't want no war no more. We don't want no war no more. We don't want no more no more. You can turn it down, Sean. Say, we don't want no war no more. 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 So that's my song, y'all.
Sorry, I just wasn't.
No, it's okay. Wow. It's good to be on the stage though, and to be among good folks. You know, I don't get too many chances to do this these days. So we're gonna do it. I think you guys know this one too. This is an old school song. Old school, not too old school. And I think we still waiting on the world to change. How long we been waiting? Come on, put your hands together. A lot of us are misunderstood, right? Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we said nothing. There's no way we ever could. Okay, John. Now we see everything that's going wrong when the world is all in it. We just knew that we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Come on, John. We keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's time that we exist. We're fighting at a distance. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, we would have never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on the door. And when we trust the television, and what we see is what we got, and the only information, we give it all that one. Come on, John. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Y'all sing with me and John. Keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, we just know that the fight ain't fair. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. Y'all still waiting with me, right? I say y'all still waiting for the world to change, right? It's a bunch of change makers up in here, right? We're waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting. We're waiting on the world to change. It's not longer there. We just know that the fight ain't fair. So we keep on waiting. We're waiting on the world to change. 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 Thank you. And that was actually John Mayer on the microphone too, y'all. So give it up for John, y'all. Y'all heard him too.
Thank you, Nekita. Woo! I know her. She's famous. And actually, fun fact, John Mayer is actually from Connecticut. I think he's from Bridgeport. So that's paying homage. So our next speaker is Pedro Espinoza. Did I say it right? Did I say it? Okay. Pedro, he is from Unidad Latina. I don't think I'm reading this right, I'm sorry. Organización, Climate Disruption, Discourseization in Mexico. So he will be speaking in a bilingual. I think you'd be speaking English and Spanish with this? Yes. So give it up for Pedro.
Hola, ¿qué tal todos? Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Mi nombre es Pedro Espinoza, soy originario de un pueblo de las faldas de la Malinche, ubicado en el estado de Tlaxcala, en México.
My name is Pedro Espinoza. I live in the region at the foot of the Malinche volcano in Tlaxcala, Mexico. That's where I come from.
Hoy les quiero platicar un poco de lo que está pasando en nuestro estado.
And today I want to tell you a little bit about what is happening in my hometown.
Debido a todo estos descuidos que hemos tenido en el cambio climático,
Because of the disregard for climate change,
pero claro que no solo somos nosotros los culpables, sino que son las grandes corporaciones que han abusado de la explotación.
so because people have not been caring for the environment, but also because the big corporations have been plundering and polluting the environment.
Muchos de los países latinoamericanos, lo que hoy estamos tratando de controlar en nuestros países es un total descontrol. Nadie sabe ni cómo componer el problema de nuestro medio ambiente.
Climate change is out of control in our countries in Latin America. Nobody knows how to stop it.
Y el gran problema que tenemos es que las propias autoridades nos niegan el derecho de pelear por nuestro medio ambiente como pueblos originarios.
And the big problem is that the government does not allow us to care for the environment the way we want to care for it as indigenous peoples.
Y es por eso que hoy quiero citar unas palabras de la bióloga que nos está ayudando a pelear sobre nuestros derechos para defender nuestra Malinche, ya que sufre que nos ha atacado el gusano descortezador en nuestra montaña.
And I'm going to share with you some words from the biologist who is helping us to reforest the Malinche forest, which is suffering from an attack of a pest, a beetle, which has been exacerbated by climate change.
¿Por qué es importante luchar por el medio ambiente en las comunidades desde el punto de vista indígena?
Why is it important to fight for the environment from an indigenous point of view in indigenous communities?
El territorio indígena es nuestra casa de los pueblos que por legado nos consideramos indígenas.
The land, we are stewards of the land by tradition.
Y implica un lugar, nuestro lugar terruño, ligado siempre en un entorno natural, vivo y no vivo.
Traditionally, we live in harmony with our environment, with all living things and all non-living things.
Las montañas, sus rocas, el suelo, los árboles, las flores, los hongos, el mismo aire que respiramos.
The mountains, the leaves, the trees, the soil, the mushrooms, the very air that we breathe.
Con los que convivimos y nos relacionamos día a día como parte de nuestro sustento energético para el cuerpo y para el alma.
Which we live with every day and from which we draw energy to our bodies and our souls.
Por lo tanto, defender nuestra casa es defender la vida misma y asegurar la continuidad para las siguientes generaciones.
The earth is our home, and to defend the earth is to defend our lives and the lives of the generations that come after us.
haciendo lo que en su momento nuestros ancestros hicieron para que en el aquí y ahora nosotros disfrutemos de este.
We need to learn from what our ancestors did to care for the environment so that we can do the same today, now, and for the future.
Es un compromiso recibir lo prestado, cuidarlo y en este tiempo restaurarlo para darle a nuestros hijos como herencia más apreciada y así ellos a su vez continuar el legado.
The environment does not belong to us. It is loaned to us. It is placed in our care. And our responsibility is to care for it and to give it to our children and to the future generations as their inheritance.
Así es que hoy los invito a todos, no solo nosotros, sino que luchar unidos para combatir esas grandes corporaciones que han destruido mucha parte de nuestro ecosistema.
So I invite you all today, we need to unite. We need to fight against the big corporations that have destroyed our ecosystem.
Hoy veo muchas gentes de muchos países latinoamericanos que por culpa de esa destrucción del medio ambiente uno se ve en la necesidad de emigrar a este país.
Today I see many people here from Latin America, and because of the big corporations that have plundered our natural resources and destroyed our environment, we were forced to migrate here.
Así es que hoy los invito que empecemos desde nosotros a hacer un cambio para el bienestar de nuestros hijos y las futuras generaciones.
So I invite you to join us to fight for a change for ourselves and for our children and the future generations.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Pedro Espinoza is with ULA, Unidad Latina en Acción, and he's also started a small fundraiser to invest in these indigenous peoples who are fighting for recognition from their government to reforest the Malinche volcano region. And up on the webpage of Unidad Latina en Acción, which is ulanewhaven.org, we'll put the fundraising page. Thank you so much for being out here.
Thank you, Pedro. So we are nearing the, we're mid our town hall. We do have another speaker coming, but he is on his way, his Deacon Art. But prior to him getting here, I just want to make a connection to with environmental racism and environmentalism and how Black folk and Puerto Rican folk of this city can get involved. So like Alycia said earlier, you know, we need access to the education of environmental justice and environmentalism within our city, within our state. And part of the reason why I got involved in this work, I am speaking as a Black American who descends from chattel slavery in this country. And I also descend from Haitian people, so I am half and half. And I see environmental justice as a way of America, you know, paying her debt to my people, specifically those of us who descend from chattel slavery in this country. I think of this fight for reparations, I feel like this should be connected to that fight. Just as well as America owes a debt for slavery, she owes a debt for the environmental injustices she has placed upon my people and everybody else that comes here who's non-white. So that's my anchoring. I fight for my people. I know that we deserve justice. I know that we deserve clean air. I know that we deserve clean water. I know that we deserve to be seen in this movement. So I appreciate the fact that I'm able to be here and that Alycia is able to be here, and Angel and Alex and everyone that spoke who you don't normally see in an environmental space. I'm glad that we have been able to have our voice be heard, and I am glad that we are seen, and I will be damned, sorry for the children here, but I need for my people to be involved in the Green New Deal. I need for us to be in that, because in the last New Deal, we were ignored, and that's not gonna happen today, not on my watch. As my grandma say, you know, Lord forbid, God forbid, you know, so I see us here. So thank you all for being here, and I don't know what else to really say, but I'm excited for this movement. I'm excited to see what happens moving forward. And we're gonna have another event like this in October. On the 30th of October, we're gonna have, you know, environmental racism, a climate action crisis rally. Yes, it's gonna be a rally. Right now it's a town hall, but it's gonna be a rally. So, yeah, I think DJ, if you don't mind, playing some music a little bit as we wait for Deacon Art, because he's going to end us with a prayer. But he's on his way, I promise you. So yes, thank you all for staying so far. Have a good afternoon, and hopefully Deacon Art will be here to do the prayer. So, yes? Oh, yes, the tables, yes. So, oh, there he is, Deacon Art, yeah! Give it up for Deacon Art. That is dedication. Yes, I'm here for that. I'm very dramatic. I went to school for theater and dance, so don't mind me. Boo, boo, boo. Boo, boo, boo. He's coming, y'all. He gonna be here. You right there. Yes, it's all about faith.
We had faith and he arrived.
Hallelujah. Okay. Keep it going, keep it going. Thank you, thank you. We have tables dispersed throughout this beautiful park. We have Leticia's table in the middle with the green frog. And yes, and we also have Sierra Club's table in the back over yonder. Okay, my country's coming out a little bit. Promoting enduring peace. Big up, big up, big up. I got you, Ref. I got you, Deacon. I got you.
Because some little youths moving on so down. They don't have nothing and they want things done.
Hey.
And then the pressure people all they want income. Young baby father can't feed him son. And then him tell the dance say him need him gun. Get gun, take gun, rap Mr. Chung. 5 innocent people get licked down. Because time's well hard in the yard today. If you don't work then you won't get paid. Many obstacles come along the way. Overcome, youths overcome. Many are called but the chosen few. Nothing in this world that you can do. Work hard for your dreams and they will come true. Overcome, overcome. Every day you get up, living like a bomb. But if you want good, remember you know that you can run. Get up, brush off, take yourself out of the slum. And go find a trade and make some fun. Go drown your stress in a smoke and rum. Slow but sure, them will put you on the drum. Set up a star, little pull a little bun. So when the week done, you don't forget nobody done. Time's well hard in the yard today. But if you don't work, then you won't get paid. Many obstacles come along the way. Overcome, overcome. Many are called but the chosen few. Nothing in this world that you can do. If you work hard, then you will pull through. Overcome, overcome. The reason why we call the one you overcome. Because some little youths moving out so down. See don't got nothing and they want things done. And then the pressure people go they want income. Young baby father can't feed him son. And then he tell the dance say him need him gun. Get gun, take gun, rap Mr. Chung. 5 innocent people get licked down. Time's well hard in the yard today. But if you don't work then you won't get paid. Many obstacles come along the way. Overcome, overcome. Many are called but the chosen few. If you work hard then you will pull through. Nothing in this world that you can do. You overcome if you overcome. Time's well hard in the yard.
I couldn't find you, and I was meandering through that Trump group up there, and I have my mask on. And they saw the brother walking through with his mask on, but I'm too big to say something to. But I'm a man of peace. Oh, what a joy. Yo, what's up? I know, me neither, man. I'm just trying. When I was asked to come to this gathering, I was just so humbled and honored that I would be asked. I'm an old man, but I have a young spirit. I remember some, 60 years ago, almost, I was arrested during the Civil Rights Movement in 1963. And I remember being in jail at age 17 because I was standing up for what I felt was right. And it's been a part of my life I'm 76 years old. Yes, I know I look good for 76, but I am 76. And I have been to many gatherings, I've been jailed and all that every time because there's something wrong in this nation of ours. You gotta know I love my country, like you. Folks don't understand how much we love this nation. I'm a veteran. I love this country enough to die for it because I love the idea of America. You feel me? And I was willing to die for that idea. I loved it like I love my children. I pay for it. I owned a company, so I paid over $1 million in taxes. Some of my children are adopted because I think that's a part of what we're supposed to do. But I'll tell you this, my children, I'm an old-fashioned kind of father. They messed up, they got jacked up. Some of you don't know what jacked up means, but what that means when they messed up, I spanked them. Because I loved them enough for them to be corrected. I love this country the same way. I love it enough to die for it, but when it's wrong, I'm going to do everything I can to correct it. So we have gathered here this afternoon. We've gathered because sometimes it is necessary to be with folks who embrace the same truths that we hold dear. People we may not know but are comfortable with because they too accept the notion that our planet, as Pope Francis has called it, is our common home. And it is in our common home is in dire straits. This afternoon we have peacefully gathered together because it is now necessary to huddle with folks who embrace the sacred truths that we hold dear and defend the truth that too many have denied. This afternoon we have joined together with one voice, one mind, one common goal, and that sacred goal is to protect this planet. To protect this most precious and holy creation we call our common home. Because if we don't, it will most assuredly perish. This day will be dedicated to informing you, enlightening you, lifting you up so you might be better equipped to speak up when necessary, to act up when necessary, to stand up when necessary. My friends, just so you know, that this afternoon, this day, this moment is necessary. We cannot, we must not ever stand idly by while a pervasive and profound assault on our common home continues to saunter about under the guise of false truths uttered by unknowing, uncaring political leaders. Whose desire for political economic power has jaundiced their sensibilities. Today, it is vital that every good and heroic person stand with us against the degradation and squandering of the natural resources that make our planet precious. We must continue to voice the undesirable and uncomfortable truth that greed, indifference, and ignorance are destroying our common home and God's first creation. Today, your very presence speaks to your accepted invitation to the rescue of Mother Earth, our common home. And it will take your personal commitment, because there is so much work yet to be done. For there are many minds to be changed, uncaring attitudes to be rectified, and destructive actions that must be confronted. Many powerful people continue to believe that climate change is a hoax. They believe that the warming of our planet, the disintegration of the polar ice cap, and they also believe that dramatic swings in weather patterns is a normal cycle that our planet is going through and has gone through for millions of years. And yet, 95% of every notable scientist, including 17 Nobel laureates, report that climate change is real, and that humanity has played a significant role in these unnatural climate changing patterns. Frankly, I don't know who those 5% of scientists are who are not a part of the 95%. But boy, we could sure use their influence. For those people who steadfastly believe that climate change is not real, I wish that 5% would influence those same politicians who believe there is no racism. I wish those 5% could influence those hardliners that black lives do matter. I wish those 5% could influence people to go back to church, or to their temple, or to their mosque. I wish those 5% could influence the richest of the rich to pay fair wages to those they employ. I wish those 5% could convince those knuckleheads to get a damn shot. Remember this day. Remember this day as I remember the savagery of the struggle for human and civil rights. As I remember the determination and bravery to achieve hard-won concessions for social justice. And now we struggle for even a greater change, a greater challenge. The challenge to preserve our very planet, to preserve our common home, that our children and grandchildren and those who follow might be able to walk through verdant fields, breathe sweet, clean air, and know that what God created we did not destroy. Remember this day and realize there are those who are blind to the truth that is blindingly obvious to us. That we have become a society that sweeps into the corner any difficult truth that threatens to shake us out of our apathy. But so many people just stand by, refusing to accept what screams so very loudly. Our planet is sick. Our very planet is sick. And we are the ones that's poisoning her. There is a well-known philosopher by the name of Edmund Burke, who during the horrid Jewish killing by the Jews, what he said is that all it takes for evil to exist is for good people to do nothing. I do believe this one thing. If God were to reach his mighty hand or her mighty voice to teach to every single one of us one last commandment, I believe that commandment would be, thou shalt not be a bystander. We shall overcome.
Deacon Art. Thank you. Give it up for Deacon Art. So we have our last speaker, James Flores. Okay, here you go.
My interpreter. There you go. Yo quiero hablarles a ustedes
I want to speak with you
de la tragedia sobre el ambiente en Latinoamérica.
about the tragedy of the environment in Latin America.
Y voy a mencionar 4 ejemplos.
I'm going to mention 4 examples.
El primer ejemplo es en Ecuador,
The first example is in Ecuador
con la compañía multinacional Chevron.
with the multinational corporation Chevron.
Chevron sacó petróleo por años y años de la selva de Amazonas.
Chevron, for years and years, plundered the oil out of the Amazon forest.
Y cuando se acabó el petróleo,
And when the oil ran out,
se fueron y dejaron tremenda contaminación.
they left, and they left behind tremendous pollution.
Y la Corte de Ecuador
And the Ecuadorian court
apeló que Chevron tenía que limpiar.
appealed and said Chevron needs to clean it up.
Y todavía estamos esperando que limpien.
And they are still waiting for Chevron to clean it up.
El segundo caso,
The second case,
y ustedes se van a sorprender,
and you will be surprised,
el país más rico del mundo
the richest country in the world
es Haití.
is Haiti.
Yeah. Tiene petróleo,
It has oil,
tiene oro,
it has gold,
tiene plata,
it has silver,
carbón.
carbon,
Pero ¿dónde
coal.
pero ¿dónde están las ganancias?
But where are the profits?
Aquí en Hartford, aquí con la compañía esa de 500, con los 500 company.
Here in Hartford with the Fortune 500 companies.
Y el pueblo pasando miseria.
Meanwhile, the Haitian people are living in misery.
Otro ejemplo
Another example,
es México.
Mexico.
El Río Grande o el Río Bravo, depende de qué lado usted del río.
The Rio Grande or the Rio Bravo, you call it a different thing depending on which side of the river you live on.
Uno de los ríos más contaminados del mundo.
It's one of the most polluted rivers in the world.
¿Por qué?
Why?
Porque las grandes corporaciones
Because the giant
con
corporations
sus compañías
with their companies,
sin leyes del ambiente,
without environmental protection laws,
tiran todos los tóxicos en el río.
they throw all the toxic stuff into the rivers.
Y cuando el pueblo se querella,
And when the people complain,
lo encuentran 6 pies bajo tierra.
the people are found 6 feet under. The
Porque
people
hay muchos líderes que han sido asesinados por luchar por el medio ambiente.
There are many environmental leaders who have been murdered for defending the environment.
Y last but not least, último, y también my homeland Puerto Rico.
Last but not least, my homeland, Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Un país pequeñito, Puerto Rico es más pequeño que Connecticut.
A tiny country. Puerto Rico is smaller than Connecticut.
Y entonces los grandes corporaciones
And so the giant
y
corporations
los millonarios y billonarios
and the millionaires and billionaires,
van a Puerto Rico,
they go to Puerto Rico,
violan todas las leyes del ambiente
they violate all the
y en la
environmental laws,
montaña, allá en la montaña hacen una mansión
and up there on the mountain they build a mansion
y le ponen no traspasen.
and they say no
Es decir, que
trespassing.
donde yo me crié no puedo ir.
So where I grew up, I can't go there.
Y otra historia bien triste es, en Puerto Rico tenemos a Monsanto.
Another sad story, in Puerto Rico we have Monsanto.
Y en el pueblo que yo me crié, en Juanadías, Puerto Rico, y Ponce, Puerto Rico.
The village where I grew up, in Juanadías and Ponce,
tiene el índice de cáncer más alto de Puerto Rico.
they have the highest rate of cancer in Puerto Rico.
Y está vinculado a la contaminación de Monsanto.
And it's related to the pollution by Monsanto.
Pero como siempre pasa,
But as always happens,
las corporaciones,
the corporations,
tanto en Connecticut,
just like
en
in
Nueva
Connecticut,
York,
whether they're
en
in
Japón,
Connecticut, in New York,
en Júpiter,
whether they're in Japan, in
Júpiter,
whether they're in Jupiter,
controlan a los políticos.
the corporations control the people, the politicians.
Y no pasa nada. Y we the people, we get stuck with the problem. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. We needed to hear that. We really did. Side note, what's going on in this world in regards to environmental injustices and environmental racism, America has done it to her people here first, and unfortunately, she does it here and then she brings it out to everyone else. So we must really focus on the root causes here in this country so we can stop harming our citizens, harming our people, and stop harming other folk. America, you need to mind your business, in my humble opinion. So with that being said, thank you all for coming here this great afternoon. Thank God the sun shined on us. We deserve that sun. And come back again for our next event, which will be hosted on October 30th, 2021. Yay for our rally that's going to be happening around Halloween. And let's continue to have this fight. Let's continue to fight for environmental justice, to end and eradicate environmental racism for our people, for our people, for our people. So